Have you been accused of being an AI artist lately? Or you just want to impress your friends with how well you can draw hands? Don't worry, gang, I got you. But don't just know, you might not be the only one getting something out of this video. Why should we listen to you when it comes to drawing? Okay, here, look. These are my credentials. I'm a certified hand drawer, okay? This is how I draw hands, and it might not work for everyone, but it's a different way to look at hands and to approach drawing hands. 'Cause hands aren't as scary as a lot of us think of them, you know? And you just gotta, I think my first tip would be when you go into drawing hands, don't think of it as just, oh, it's something else I need to learn. I think you wanna, if you really wanna draw hands, you're gonna put in the effort to do it. And it really comes down to you. Hopefully this makes sense because half the time I don't even know what's going on in my own head. And so to explain what's going on in my head, you got me messed up there, dude. So when I start off drawing hands, I like to start off with simple shapes, right? So I start off with a shape something like this. It looks a bit like a trapezoid. I think that's what it looks like. Yeah, it's not a parallelogram. I start off with the arm and I don't, yeah, I connect, like, arms are connected to hands, the shape of the arm, so I have a better base of like how big I should draw the palm of the hand. And so I'll draw this little, this little thing. You see it? And then I'll add the hand or the palm shape or the trapezoid to the arm. Next, I add a triangle to either side of the hand depending on which hand I'm drawing, and also depending on if it's the back or front of the hand, so back of the hand or palm. And for this not shape, for this hand first, I'm going to be drawing the back of the left hand, so it'll have the left hand's knuckles. Yeah, but I'm going to start off with drawing the thumb area, and I start off by drawing a triangle there. Next up, I would like to add fingers. So I like to imagine fingers as little boxes or fries. Yeah. It's a little silly, but I think working with box shapes rather than circles, for me, it just, in my head, it works better because it just makes more sense to me, especially in like 3D, more 3D angles. I can break down the fingers into boxes, and it makes more sense than like a circle or a sphere to me. In the past, I would draw on my fingers, and like even my primary care doctor's like, is that like skeleton bones? I'm like, nope, they're boxes, so I can tell what I'm drawing. So there'd be little boxes on my fingers. How do I explain this? And I can pose my fingers and imagine what I'm breaking down. Or, well, not imagine it, but have a visual of what I'm breaking down. And so then I can transfer what I see easily down to my paper. And it's a lot less stressful when there's a visual representation of what I should break down or what I'm going to break down. More like, I don't know if this is making sense, but hopefully it is, because this is my thought process going into hands. It's breaking down, well, not even just drawing hands, but everything I draw. It's breaking down what you're drawing into simple, comprehensible shapes, and from there, adding the details and making it look more like what you're trying to replicate. Something to note is, I guess you probably know this. If you look at your own fingers, the middle finger is longer than the pointer finger, right? And then also, the ring finger is about the same height as the pointer finger. Now here you can see this is like a very basic shape of a hand. So we went from nothing to something. And like I said, breaking this down into simple shapes, that's what I'm doing here. And now I kind of add the details. But first I'm going to duplicate the hand. So then I have like the right palm hand. I can demonstrate how I do details from there. So starting off, I'm going to round fingertips on the fingers I drew because we don't really have exactly square fingers, right? So that's my first step. And when it comes to the thumb, it doesn't just look like that weird looking shape. It's curved a bit. And so I curve it as I see on my hand. Whatever I see on my hand, I try to duplicate or replicate. And so from here, I'm going to connect the pointer finger to the thumb. But if you look, it's kind of like a little web here. And so I'm just going to go like that. It's not very clear what I did, and I'm not even sure what I did, but I like to think I did something. Okay, moving on to the details. So I like to extend like the lines from the fingers. I'm not sure how to explain it, but you can kind of see I'm extending the fingers down, or like the finger lines down a bit. I don't know, it's kind of a stylistic thing I like to do. It just looks kind of cool, and it just gives it the finger web look thing. And then for the fingernails, I like to add boxes. Um, yeah, like little rectangles for fingernails. I don't like adding little ovals because they look a little silly. I add rectangles, as you can see me do here. Now to make the hand look a little more right, I'm going to curve it a bit because, our hands aren't rectangles. They can just be broken down into rectangles to simplify them. That does not look right. It looks like I was stung by a bee. And whenever I draw hands too, I add this little bone thing here. I don't know anatomy, okay guys? Like I don't know the names of bones. Because I see it on my hands, so it gets to go on my drawing's hands too. I'm so sorry. Ignore my laugh. That was so fake. I am so fake. So now here I add the knuckles, and I do that by adding two lines, as you can see. But then to add on, I also add little lines that kind of look like they're continuing from the knuckle. But that's basically how I do the basics of a hand from the back. So next up is the palm of the hand, and this is going to be the right palm. Again, here I round off the fingertips because, again, I don't think we have square hands. Then I connect the pointer finger to the thumb, and I adjust the line that connects the thumb to like the wrist area. And then again, I round off the fingertips, but this time I don't have to put fingernails on. I also round off the gaps between the fingers like I did for the back facing hand. I just don't extend the finger lines out towards the palm area. Inner finger, I make a little curve and then an indent, and then I make the line go out again, and then I connect it back to the wrist area. Now, I must mention the hand butt. I love drawing the hand butt. It looks so silly, and that's what I like to add it to my hands. The hand butt. I hope this is what it gets referred to from now on. Nor like, why use the correct terminology when you can call it a hand butt? Like that's so much more fun. And then from here, from the gap in between my pointer finger, I go down a bit, and then I connect. Or I draw a little line, and it doesn't exactly end where the indent is, but it stops around that area. And you can kind of see too. I have a hand. I drew something in the palm, but it's not exactly where that should be, or well, where I draw it. A little higher. I draw that line a little higher up, and it doesn't exactly connect. I'll add some other things though, like this thing. I don't know what this is, to be honest with you, but there we go. Hand. Okay, from here, I'm going to be moving on to more complex hand poses. Um, and I think the next one I'm going to do is a peace sign, kind of from an angle. And here you can really see my use of boxes to kind of help me visualize like a hand in more of a 3D plane. I feel like that's the correct terminology. Excuse me for my dumbness. I'm not the smartest. Okay, that's a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Very similar to how I started off the basics of the hand, just in a 3D form. And so now I add thumb part. And I add everything else too, but instead of just little rectangles like this, I turn them into rectangular prisms. It's probably a little more angled though. It's not looking exactly right, but I'm also doing this without a reference. Now I'm gonna, when you look at a peace sign, you have thumb, and that kind of comes in. So if you have the rectangular prism, right? But I want to make it so the rectangular prism is turned over to this side. It's going to be a square, kind of, you know. And so that's kind of what I want to do here. Except just to make it simple, I'm just going to leave it as a square. I'm going to make it more difficult than it has to be. And I think I made it a little too big. Okay. And now for the fingers that are bent over. Wait, am I doing this the right? I'm going to add a little triangle for the knuckle area. I'm going to add 2 actually. And look at the fingers. It's at, again, angle, so I'm going to make it into a rectangular prism. Same for the pinky. And turn the other into those shapes too. And then the rest of the thumb kind of. And now just kind of fix it up. So you have the folds right here. You have the hand butt. Definitely not my best hand drawing, but it's just for kind of the concept. I'm really tired, so wanna fix this up because I can't sleep knowing I'm a failure. And yeah, that's about all. Yeah, and I think that's basically about it. I mean, I apologize if this video was long, but when it comes to hands, I don't think really it's like you can watch all these tutorials on how to draw hands, but if you don't get like if it's just how to draw one hand position, you might struggle with other hand positions. And so I wanted to explain my thought process going into hand drawings rather than how to draw it or just like one hand pose or just hands in general, like a hand in general, because I want to make sure like I don't have to make more hand tutorials, you know? Hopefully this video made sense. This is just my thought process and how I go about drawing hands. And hopefully you can understand it and hopefully hands aren't as big of a challenge for you. But I think that's about all. So thank you for watching. If you made it to the end, I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all the support as of late. It's I don't know where you guys came from, but I'm glad you're here. So thank you, gang gang. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day or night. And if it's night for you, sleep well. Rest is good. Make sure to stay hydrated. And I'll catch you soon, gang gang. Bye bye.